when you've got the self-awareness to recognise that what you're doing isn't what you're supposed to be doing, we can all feel it. We all know when we're in alignment with what we're supposed to be doing. And I say to people, it's okay to quit. And quitting should never be confused with giving up or failing, because you can only fail once you've given up. If you keep going, you've not yet failed. You've not given up. So it's like people spend so much time doing things that they don't like. And all they're doing is just wasting life. And then you've got to ask yourself, what would you prefer? Regret or rejection?
Hello everyone, welcome to the MaxWellness podcast, where each week we talk to athletes, industry experts and influencers who share their journeys, tactical tips and lessons learned on how to maximize your wellness and smash your goals. So this week we are talking to Mason Roberts. He is a holistic performance coach and an NLP practitioner who is working with men to perform mentally, physically and spiritually, and is redefining masculinity. So welcome, Mason. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. It's Sunday, it's 11 a.m. We're getting it cracking. I like this.
This is it.
If you can't do it on a Sunday, when can you do it?
This is it.
So we were talking previously, because obviously Sunday, everyone's like, Sunday's usually my day of rest. Why are you so motivated on a Sunday?
I like Sundays. And it's a chat. I was looking forward to this.
Yeah?
Looking at my diary, I was thinking, why not?
Fill up the day.
Yeah.
We love this. So let's get started. So obviously you're helping people with their journey of transformation. I'm going to say transformation. I think that's a good way to say it, because I feel like that it kind of encompasses everything there. So can you let us know about your journey and what led you into wanting to help people on their journey?
Oof.
So that's a big question.
Yeah.
Let's start from Little Mason.
Try and give you the synopsis, because we could take up the whole, however long we're spending. I could use that all just talking about the journey itself. But
I mean, there's magic in the journey, right? Share it all.
A brief overview, well, brief-ish. So I was born in a council estate in London, and it was a lot of drugs, violence, alcohol, abusive dad, in jail, all that fun stuff. And for the first part of my life, I followed suit. It was what everyone else was doing, and it was my norm. So I started taking Class A drugs at 14. Coke, crack, heroin, and it was pretty deep. I was in jail for the first time at 16, then again at 18. It was in and out. This was just life, and it's weird when I talk about the story. I very rarely connect to it like it was my story. I kind of have this way of talking about this kid that done these things, because I rarely do it, but when I do actually take a moment to think, fuck, that shit actually happened, there's still a sadness there, you know? And anyway, even when I was involved in all this shit, I came out and there was guns and all that stuff. Got shot, got stabbed, and a lot of shit was happening. It was one thing after another. And I was always angry. I was always fighting. And then it actually first started by meeting a group of guys who wasn't interested in any of that shit. They were just into their sports, into their football, into everything else. And they were the first positive group of fellas that I knew, because everyone else was just into all sorts of bullshit. Then it made me want to be a bit better. It made me start to feel embarrassed about the life that I was living. Anyway, I started training. I always used to train. I used to fight professionally. Not at the time, I wasn't signed, but I used to train and spar. And my coach said, do you want to start competing? And I was like, nah, it's not for me. I don't have the discipline. Anyway, they entered me into some competition. I ended up getting to the finals, getting my ass kicked into the final. But because it was such a good fight, the promoter, Cage Rage at the time, UCMMA, they said, yeah, we're going to give you a contract. Anyway, I started fighting professionally. which was good. Another real positive impact on my life because that gave me that discipline, that focus. And I really did enjoy that. But it still didn't feel like I was supposed to be doing it. You know, my ego loved it. All this kind of kudos. Oh yeah, he's an MMA fighter. Yeah, he's tough, he's this. And I really kind of embodied that. And so I was pro for 7 years and I got injured, badly injured. Had to have surgery. And instead of doing the rehab like I was supposed to, I decided to just sulk. I couldn't train, I couldn't fight, I couldn't do what I love doing. So instead of doing the right thing, I ended up just partying again, more drugs, more alcohol. And it was going on for quite a while. And I didn't realize how bad it got. Hannah, I tell you, 1 minute I just felt I was okay. Next minute I just felt that I was just a piece of shit. You know, I thought, what the fuck am I going to do in my life? I've reached my pinnacle. I had an opportunity and I've thrown it away. Now I've got to start again. Nobody's going to like me, just me without being a fighter. So I'd go out, my friend would say, oh, my mate Mace, he's an MMA fighter. Like, that's what I
that was your identity.
Exactly that, because I didn't think I was anything beyond that. So I remember exactly what I was doing. I was living in Bethnal Green. I was sitting on my sofa and then something just told me to Google therapists near me. And it's weird because none of my pals we didn't speak about this sort of stuff. You know, I was in all hyper masculine industries, my whole crew firm, it was just, we just didn't talk about this stuff. So anyway, I got on the phone and then the therapist came up and then she also done hypnotherapy as well. And I was like, interesting. Started seeing this therapist, keeping it to myself. And the biggest takeaway was, she goes, well, you was able to train twice a day, 6 days a week. You had all this discipline because you're telling me that these skills aren't transferable. And at first I didn't see that because usually when we do a certain thing, we've just got our blinkers on. We forget how much skills or how we can use our skills in other areas of life because we haven't even looked. We haven't even attempted to go outside our normal patterns of behavior. So she planted that seed and I didn't get to action straight away. It's never that way. But she started to give me a bit more self-belief, started to kind of motivate me, made me get up off my arse and actually start moving. First things first was my fitness. I needed to get my fitness back. I kind of made peace with the that I wasn't going to fight to the level I wanted to fight before. But then I also saw it as an opportunity that I can do other stuff. So anyway, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was looking around at all my positive mates and they were all setting businesses, startups, doing this. I was thinking, obviously, that's what I need to do. Had pals that were in music. I goes, I need to do something in music. Tried it. It wasn't for me. Thinking, fuck, that's not it. Had other people in fashion tried something in that because that's definitely not for me. Other mates in startups, had a few startups to varying levels of success. It's like, that's definitely not for me. What am I supposed to be doing? You know, because, and loads of people that watch this might be able to relate. When we don't know what we're supposed to be doing, we look at what everyone else is doing and think, oh, is that where I should go? You know, but we forget to kind of listen to what we want to do. So this is kind of what led me into my spiritual journey. Because when we was out partying, we used to go to titty bars and all sorts. And we had one mate, he never used to get involved in what we used to go. He used to go to church and he was like our guardian angel. He'd be to drive our cars, he would drive us back. And I remember calling him once out of the blue. I goes, mate, can I come to church with you? He's like, what? He goes, yeah, of course, I love that. So this is how you know when I'm feeling a bit desperate, like I need to find something because it may be God. I remember going to church and hearing what they were saying. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They were saying, don't watch this, it's evil. Well, I was thinking, that's not it. I was like, that's just not it. And I didn't want to quit after one go, so I went back again just to confirm that that wasn't for me. And it wasn't, so I left that. I met my mum for coffee. I goes, Mum, you're back. Can I meet you for a coffee? She goes, yeah, of course. Met her in a coffee shop. I goes, Mum, I went to church the other day. She goes, yeah. I goes, yeah. I goes, I'm just not happy. She goes, I kind of figured something was wrong. I goes, I don't know what to do. Because I know outside in, I know that everything looked like it was going fine. I had a nice car, I was with watches and always trying to get girls and all that. Like everything looked okay. And I think my mum was the first person I actually came clean to. I goes, no, I'm unhappy. And there was this female, and I say female next to my mum because I don't know if she was young, old, white, black, I cannot remember. She said to me, I'm really sorry to eavesdrop on your conversation. What do you know about spirituality? What do you know about meditation? What do you know about gurus and all this stuff? And I was like, no, that's not for me. She goes, okay, but I'm going to write down some stuff for you to check out. And it was talking about a couple of YouTube videos, a meditation app. I was thinking, all right, well, I might as well. Whoever she was, she changed my fucking life. She changed, I think she was an angel, you know, because went back and I started listening to people's philosophies about lives and existence and the power of meditation, how to find your center. And at first it was a bit, okay, let me just be easy with this, take it one step at a time and kind of introduce myself to this new kind of world. But it automatically made sense. You know, when I decided not to put my automated kind of rejection zone up, which we can do, we kind of defend ourselves, say, no, that's not for me. When I kind of allowed it in, I was like, I'm going to give this a go. It was like, this is fucking good, isn't it? I was thinking, this is, and anyway, so it was weird, as life is, when I kind of started opening myself up to this, I started gravitating towards more people that were doing on this journey that were more advanced than me. So I'd be sitting in a coffee shop or something, talking to someone, goes, oh yeah, I'm going to some talk about X, Y, and Z. I was like, can I join you? It was like, yeah. So this was about 7 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. I have not stopped meditating since. It's been a game changer. And at first, when I started telling my pals about it, they was like, mate, you turned into a fucking hippie, this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, cool. Which is funny because now, over the last few years, they're cool with me, goes, what do I do to meditate? How do I start doing this? I've seen the change in you. How can I get that change in me? So what I decided to do is I felt that this change was happening within me. And what many people fail to do is that you try to make that positive change within yourself without changing your environment. And that's a struggle. You know, you might be on this kind of positive vibe, be like, I don't need any of this stuff to hold me back. But if all the stuff around you is trying to pull you back, energetically, it's going to be draining. So I fucked off. I remember first I went to Berlin because I knew it was close. I still had a company in London and Hackney. So I was thinking, okay, I can go back and forth. And I remember even when I was back there, I thought this was the change, this was the thing. I thought everything was going to go up from then, but that wasn't the case. Everything went down. I went deeper. It was like so sad. Like the sadness was unreal. Didn't speak to anyone about it, not even my mum. And that lasted at least a year. And I was reading all the books and I was doing all the stuff and I was thinking, this doesn't make sense.
I'm doing the work.
Yeah, it's thinking this isn't making sense, but something in me goes, just keep going. And where do I go from this? So I just knew that I needed to not stop, because although that I felt disconnected from everyone else, I felt that I was being where I was supposed to be. And everyone else that I speak to when they start talking about their spiritual journey, that feeling of being lonely is quite common, you know, because it is so personal. No one else can do it for you. You know, you need to have those own light bulb moments yourself, because we are so easily influenced. We're so used to being influenced by external experiences and conversations that we actually lose sight of what is our truth. So that's what this was for. When I was in the middle of it, I was like, this is horrible. But looking back, I was like, oh, I needed that to happen for me to actually understand what I wanted to do. So then the universe has a funny way of forcing you to do things. You know, like For example, if you don't like a job and you carry on doing it, you'll probably end up getting fired or some shit. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I had this company in Hackney, and at the same time everything was happening, I had a child with a woman who I met once, an Australian woman. I met her at a party that was in my office in London, and she messaged me like 4 months afterwards saying, "Hey, do you remember me?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm pregnant," and she was a gay woman. She goes, "I'm having the baby." And I was like, "Where are you?" She goes, "London." I goes, "I'm coming back now." She's like, "No, I'm going back home." She's from Australia. And I was like, "Why did you tell me?" And she goes, "Well, you had the right to know." I goes, "I had the right to know and you fucking found out. That was like 5 months ago." Anyway, she was having a baby. I remember speaking to one of my mates, and she said to me, she goes, "Look, you've got 2 decisions. You can either be involved or not." She goes, "But I know you and I know what you're going to do." So, of course, I've got a beautiful daughter. We've got the best relationship. Like now she lives in Oz, which is difficult because with what's going on in the world, I haven't been able to go there since the beginning. It's been heartbreaking, but we still speak for a couple of hours, 3 times a week, and I'm very much involved. So that's a beautiful thing. Anyway, that just added to what was going on, and I was thinking, where's the lesson in this? So I still had this company in Hackney. I had a creative agency and a co-working studio, one of the first, and it was wicked. But I didn't have any passion. I didn't have any passion for it. So I remember speaking to the landlord saying, "Look, do you want to take over the business?" And he goes, yeah, we can take over. Showed him the books, all that. I goes, "Okay, cool, because I'm going to go over to Australia now." And it's like, "Okay, cool, we'll sort it out. We'll just do the paperwork when you're over there, this, that." So first I went to India, actually, to chill, because I couldn't leave the life that I was living to go onto what I thought was enemy territory. You know, it's this woman I didn't even know her surname or didn't know anything about her, but she's got my child. So it was weird, and she's a gay woman. And I was going over there thinking that they're going to be looking at me, thinking, who is this dude? Ex-cage fighter. They don't know about my other history. Tattoos on his throat and all over his body that knocked up our daughter and now coming over. So I was automatically on the back foot. Went to India to chill, which was nice. But there was an experience I had over there, and it was quite bizarre. So I had my daughter's due date was a certain date. Mm. And before I was about to go to one part of India, I was in Hampi. I decided to camp out on the rocks because the rocks get so hot at night. In the daytime, sorry, that they're hot all through the night. Anyway, I climbed up and I'm thinking, I'm just going to stay out here for the night. It was amazing, massive full moon. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and goes, my daughter's just been born. And I felt it. Hannah, I tell you, I actually felt it. Went downstairs the next day, down the mountain the next day, looked at my phone and had a picture of my daughter. I was like, okay, that's a bit bonkers, but I know that I'm starting to figure out that this is how things work. And even from that day on, I just felt this weird connection to my little girl, even before I met her. So I went to Australia, shitting myself, of course.
Naturally.
And her brother come to pick me up from the station. I'm going well deep now at the moment. I don't think I've had this story for ages. But anyway, you asked for my...
Absolutely, all of it.
Yeah, and you can just edit the shit if it goes on too long. But anyway, so yeah, I met her brother come to get me. I was thinking, fuck, the big brother as well, all people. Anyway, he's come to get me. The first thing he said was, thank you. He goes, thank you for doing this. He goes, you didn't have to. And I was like, wow, that wasn't what I was expecting. And I got that same response from everyone apart from the daughter of my child. The mother of my child. And it was so challenging because she found it really difficult to have me around. And we just didn't get on. It was horrific. And even my mum said something to me. My mum said to me, at the end of the day, you're just a random dude that wants her child. And that kind of helped put things in perspective. Anyway, that was the whole thing. What was going on in the background is that the landlords were trying to pull a fast one. And because I breached the contract after the thing, I ended up getting taken to court. Yeah, and lost the company. I kind of didn't fight it because I didn't want to fight it. And ended up having to pay a ton of money that took me over a year to pay back. Forced me away from it. And looking back, I remember when I signed the agreement to take on the lease. So they kicked out the Prince's Trust. You know the Prince's Trust, right? They kicked out the Prince's Trust from another unit. And I should have known that's not really cool. That's not cool because the Prince's Trust does good work. And I remember speaking to my solicitor, my lawyer, and he goes, okay, they want you to sign the contract. And they were faffing about and they were forcing me to do it. And there was every fiber of my being was saying, don't do it. Don't sign the contract. Don't get a lease with these guys. Find another spot.
Gut feeling is a real thing.
Yeah, I ignored the gut. And I guess everybody knows when you ignore your gut, that backfires. So I'm there kind of starting again almost. I'm like, fuck this, I need to move away, move closer to my daughter. Moved to Bali. It was good because it was close to my daughter's, 3.5 hours away. And don't know if you know about Vipassana, but I ended up doing Vipassana, which I went to Java. I flew to Java. I meditated with monks in the mountains of Java for 10 days straight, meditating for 10.5 hours each day. You're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to do absolutely anything at all. It's just you and your thoughts for 10 days straight. It was bonkers, because if you think about it, when was the last time you've not looked at TV or had some external stimulus, someone speaking to you or you speaking to someone else? Probably not since you were born. You know, there's probably never been a day when you've not had some sort of stimulation at all. So when that's taken away from you, your mind does some weird shit. It really does. So the first 3 days was awful. I remember seeing my dad die because I was there when he died. I remember all the things that I didn't want to remember came up to me in the first 3 days. That's why many people grieve in that 3-day period. And then after that, it was just really kind of old school, beautiful memories. Like I remember my first day at school when I was 5 years old, and there's just all these things, all these kind of scenarios in life. And then it started to be inspirational. Then I was getting these downloads, and there was days when I was even tripping. It was like I took a ton of mushrooms or ayahuasca, and it wasn't too dissimilar, because I'd be sitting, and I know I'm in a meditation hall, but I feel like it's pissing down the rain, and I feel like I'm outside, and it was just the most profound experience. And something told me about wellness, about using what I had done to help people. And it wasn't so direct, it wasn't so clear, but I remember before I went in, which was probably planted the seed, because I had a lot of fitness people and I knew people that were like in corporate, they said, oh, do you know anyone that could come and give us a personal trainer? Or do you know anyone that does yoga? So I used to be the middleman and kind of just put people up. And obviously that must have translated when I was in meditation, because why don't you do this? I was like, me in corporate wellness? Of course not. Like, look at me, I've never stepped foot in an office. And turns out that I came out, and so I was thinking, okay, where do I start? I've come out of this thing, I'm in Bali, where do I start? I need coaches, I need yoga teachers, I need someone who knows how to facilitate workshops. On day one, I met a coach in a coffee shop who had a mutual friend of mine, and I told him what I wanted to do. He goes, I'd love to get involved. Day two, met a yoga instructor just by chance. I was just meeting all these people that I was like, okay, yeah, we can help you. We can do this. Kid you not, I remember going home thinking, this is absolutely insane. So I'm not even trying, and everything's coming together.
Spoke it into existence, though. I always believe in speaking something into existence.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so I started a corporate wellness company, and I wasn't coaching at the time. I wasn't a coach, but I knew the value in coaching. I remember working with a coach. And I was talking with him. I go, this is what's happening. He goes, you know, you could coach. I said, nah, that's not for me. He goes, mate, just think about it. You could coach. A year or so after, I decided to coach because I saw the good work it was happening. And where was I? So I started to coach, came back to the UK, signed up for a coaching school called Animas, which was situated in Regent's Park in the university. And I remember my first day rocking up, going into this kind of classroom again, back of all these wannabe coaches, and looking around, I was thinking, no one in here is like me at all. They don't look like me, they don't sound like me, they haven't got my story. And of course, all that self-doubt started coming out. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Anyway, I done it, completed it. And I remember when I first started trying to be a coach, I was trying to be a coach, trying to use all the coaching terminology, trying to act like a coach, trying to really just change everything that was me. And of course, when you're not being authentic, it shows. And people must have been picking up on my bullshit. So it wasn't working. I remember one day I just said, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to be unapologetically me. And since then, the world has just opened up. I kid you not, like, even now, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm got clients, some of the biggest organizations in the world, multinational organizations, and I'm there coaching C-suite men on not how to do things, but let's say, so what about this? And even now, I still pinch myself. I've been doing this for years now. And so when I first started coaching as well, I was coaching women. I just needed to make money because I was thinking, how am I ever going to make money coaching? And so that's kind of got me to modern day. But when I was coaching, there was and I see it often, there's something missing in wellness. And it's that you get the fitness coaches, which there's a space for it. But wellness is holistic. You have to take a 360 approach. It is mind, body, spirit. You know, you cannot ignore it. And when I say spirit, people go, how do you kind of normalize spirit? I say it's your emotions. You know, when you're feeling sad, down, uneasy, that's your highest self. That's your spirit saying, mate, come on, something needs to change. But when you're feeling happy, joyful, at ease, peaceful, that's your spirit saying, do what you're doing, man. This is where you need to be. And we don't know how to recognize our emotions, especially us men. We're so good at burying them so far down. We even think that we're not even experiencing anything. We're thinking, nah, I'm cool, I got it. But it shows up. It shows up in indirect, ugly ways, you know, short-tempered, drinking, sex, all these other coping mechanisms that we got, and we think it's just life, but no, it's fucking pain trying to get out. So when I realized that, I started to be comfortable talking about my challenges, my fears. I saw how much value it was adding with other men. And it kind of gave them the permission to talk about it, because real men cry, real men struggle, real men suffer. And it's weird to think that we don't talk about it because of this whole real men shouldn't have this sort of way or outlook on life. And although that I still feel that I can be in touch with my feminine, I still feel alpha as fuck. You know, I don't feel any less of a man. In fact, I feel stronger. Because the more open that I am, the more confident I feel. And when I feel confident, I feel unstoppable. And that's how it is with most cases. And that's why I say in all my coaching clients, it's holistic. What we're working on, okay, well, that is your problem you want to see. That's what you come to me for. But people need to recognize that action that we're doing, the thing that we think is the problem, is usually just a symptom to the underlying thing that's going on. You know, somebody, I've got an anger issue. Yeah, but why? I mean, well, I'm not being motivated. I can't do this. Okay, where's the blocks? Let's take off some of these layers. And look, you know, like, people can't come to me and just say that they're being stressed out and they're anxious, but you're not looking after your body. You know, and the most important thing people need to recognize for people watching this, the feeling that you want to feel is pride. Because when you can feel proud of yourself and things that you can achieve, there's no better feeling, and that's where your confidence is. So if you're doing the things to make you feel bad and expecting to feel good, you're nuts. It's not going to work. But when you start doing the things and acting in the way that you can be proud of, that's going to get you to where you need to get to, and it's the only way. So when people say to me, I want to do this, I want to do that, guys, but you're going to have to start putting in some work in, because I can't help you believe in yourself. That comes from the action or the output that you're going to be putting in. I can help you do that, but that's where it all starts.
I use
going off topic now, so
no, absolutely you're not, because what I love is that everything that I wanted to talk to you about today is intertwined in your journey. So this has made my job so much easier. But what I was going to say, there's an analogy that I use with a lot of my clients where I say to them, I'm a bus. You have to decide where the end of your journey is. You have to decide to get on that bus. You have to decide to tell me where you want to go. I can facilitate that journey for you, but primarily you have to do the work. I can't do anything. You need to, like I said, you need to make that investment into it. You need to decide what your journey is. Then once you decide all that, look, I will help take you there, but I'm literally just there to help facilitate the journey. It has to be you. I can't do anything unless you give me all the information. I always say as well, there's 3 people that you should never lie to: your coach, your doctor, and your lawyer. Because if you lie to us, we can't help you. There's literally nothing I can do if you lie. And yourself. That's 4th person. Exactly. Because otherwise, where you can't go anywhere if you keep telling yourself these lies. But there's so many things, like nuggets in that I want to go back on. So even going back to your early journeys where you're saying 14, 16, you're in prison, you were taking drugs, and then you went into the fighting. I'm assuming you weren't taking these drugs when you were fighting, or?
I was still taking drugs when I was fighting.
Really? Because there's learning where...
It was more partying, so I left the kind of classes to the E's and the coke and the sort of party way, but not when I was training. I was so strict. When I was training, I could switch it off, and I was just so committed. But that was a drug for me. That was my escape. When I had to wake up early, train twice a day, watch my diet, like that was it for me. But when I wasn't training and I wasn't fighting, I was kind of just left to my thoughts again.
Because in my head, I was going to say there's a strength in obviously being able to quit. So there was times obviously where, okay, looking back, probably it was an addiction. You just transferred one addiction to another. And yes, I guess fighting seemed healthier in a way because it's not drugs and society seems, but an addiction's an addiction. If you're emotionally, physically, and I guess in a way spiritually, it wasn't necessarily a good spirit, but spiritually relying on something as opposed to your authentic self, then I guess that's not healthy.
Well, it allowed me to avoid finding my authentic self. It kind of gave me a distraction. It was a coping mechanism.
Because I was just going to say, maybe there was a strength, obviously, but now you've said about, obviously, it was a further addiction. I was going to say there was still a amount of strength in that where you were able to move from this. I guess it was one bad addiction to another. Now we're talking about it now, but I was going to say there was still a strength in that though. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was quitting. Someone recommended a book to me called The Dip. I don't know if you've read it. No. But it's a really, really quick book, and I recommend anyone to talk about it. And I wanted to touch on it because obviously you've spoken about the power of quitting, but it's knowing when to quit. Because I think some people, they'll be in a situation, and especially I guess our egos are like, no, I don't want to fail at something. There's that thing where, and I've spoken about on the podcast before, where I don't like to fail, but there is power in quitting. So how do you teach that to people, and to give them the go ahead and the confidence to be like, know when to move from your business to your coaching, move from, this addiction. I know it's not a good one, but it was still better, I guess.
Well, it's when you've got the self-awareness to recognize that what you're doing isn't what you're supposed to be doing, we can all feel it. We all know when we're in alignment with what we're supposed to be doing. And I say to people, it's okay to quit. And quitting should never be confused with giving up or failing, because you can only fail once you've given up. If you keep going, you've not yet failed. You've not given up. So it's like people spend so much time doing things that they don't like. And all they're doing is just wasting life. And then you've got to ask yourself, what would you prefer? Regret or rejection? No, because regret, once that's there, you're holding on to that. Then you've got guilt, and then you've got to forgive yourself, and that's a whole different journey. When you be rejected by trying something, okay, cool, that door closed, let me keep going. So when people can actually say, okay, well, I'm making a decision to change, ask yourself why. Why do you want to change? You know, what would this change? How will it impact you? Are you changing for you? A lot of people make changes for other people. You know, whether it's parents, peers, society as a whole. You know, we're just trying to keep up appearances, and that is doing so much more harm than good. You know, and I can't wait until, if you just imagine a world where people could actually just be their authentic selves and do what they wanted to do, it would be a whole different place. You know, I know I'm going off question. You asked about people quitting. There's no such thing as quitting unless you're giving up. Unless you're not going to do anything else, unless you're not going to put your attention to something else. And people need to stop trying to do things alone as well. You know,
build your tribe.
Yeah.
And you found your tribe. You said you went there, and all of a sudden, when you put it into the universe, these things were coming to you.
Yeah.
So because you put it out there, your tribe naturally, I like to call it your tribe. You can call it whatever you want, but your tribe naturally comes to you.
Yeah.
And that comes from being your authentic self. 100%, because people see it and people are drawn to that. Because like you said, it gives them also the permission. And why would someone not want permission to be their authentic self? Because it's tiring when you're putting on this charade the whole entire time. So no wonder we've got an entire generation of people that are in what I call a fight or flight mode. And fight or flight mode is your body's natural reaction. It sounds ridiculous, but going back to caveman times where you would have been chased by dinosaurs. I'm saying dinosaurs, probably, I don't know. Anyway, chasing by someone wanted to kill you. So your fight and flight is you're constantly, and I had to learn this when I went to therapy, you're in this constant state of, is something going to kill me? And even now, because we're in this constant state of stress, this is everyone. Your brain can't distinguish that stress isn't something that's trying to kill you and eat you. And we're almost inviting this level of stress into our life 24/7. There's this whole culture of, if you're not fighting for it, if you're not doing the most, if you're not staying up 23 hours a day and only sleeping for half an hour, then you're putting your body in this constant state of fight or flight, and you're constantly operating at this place where the adrenaline is there 24/7. And people are wondering why they're tired. People are wondering why they can't invite certain energies into their space, going back to obviously what we were saying, and why it's tiring. If you then got other people that, if you're emitting that energy, you're going to invite that energy around you, and then it's just being projected at you from all angles.
Exactly that. And fight or flight, that's stress on your body. You know, and it's proven that lowers your immune system. It makes you ill. It makes people weak. So we're wondering why there's so much cancer and shit around. It's all interlinked. That's another podcast in itself. But if you look into the science behind all this, it's absolutely insane and definitely worth looking into.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Absolutely part 2. And again, going on to that, I wanted to talk to you about, because something I've seen on social media a lot recently, and something that I've seen you speaking about, is setting boundaries. So I saw a meme where if you're setting boundaries with your loved one, that's not you disliking them, that's you loving them and wanting to keep them in your life. And there's another one, we need to normalize cutting off family members that aren't good for our mental health. So setting back, and I've been having a lot of these conversations with friends recently about setting boundaries, especially for loved ones and close ones. So I guess I wanted to ask you, how do you teach people about setting boundaries? Because people feel selfish when they do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the word selfish. Why is selfish a bad thing? You know, because like, how much of you, when you're upset, pissed off, angry, or any of the emotions, how much of you are you showing up to your family with? Not 100%. You're not going to be 100% a parent, partner, you know? So imagine if you was to take yourself away, and allow yourself to focus on you. How much more, or how much better of a role model will you be to your family? You know, because you're fully charged. You got more love, you got more patience, because you have been able to be selfish and focus on the things that you need to focus on. Yeah, of course, there's a caveat to that. I mean, they don't neglect your family members, but put you first because you are the most important thing. And if you allow yourself to be as good as you can be, it's better for everyone else involved, you know. But we've come to this sort of way of thinking that it's bad to put yourself first. And I think that's insane. Everyone has, because you are the most important. Ultimately, it is about you.
Why do you think that is?
Why do we do that? I don't know. I remember a conversation I had not too long ago with a friend. She goes, "Oh, my mate's so selfish." I was like, "Why?" Because I asked her to help me to do something and she didn't do it. I was like, "Oh, so because she's not doing something that you want her to do, she's the selfish one." And she's like, "Oh, fuck, I'm being selfish because I want her." Do you get what I mean? But that's why we don't do it, because it's sort of like the only reason why we fear judgment is because we judge others. You know, if we stopped judging others, we wouldn't think that people would be judging us. And it's the same with being selfish, the relationship that we've got with it. So now, if a mate says to me, "No, mate's not going to come, I just need to do me," I'm like, "Oh, cool, sweet." 10 years ago or so, I think, "What do you mean you're not going to come? I would come for you." Not having the connection between, okay, yeah, they're just recharging, they're doing the most important thing. But that's what it is. We've got a skewed relationship with the word selfish, or we're putting ourselves first. And that fits into boundaries. You know, like we need to put boundaries on ourselves as well. Otherwise, we don't have much direction. Like for me, I won't work past 7 o'clock. That's it. If I'm in flow or whatnot, laptop goes off, I do something. I have to. Otherwise, I know that I can get into it. And I know that's just a minor example, but we need to put boundaries into ourselves about our non-negotiables. What do I want to stick? What do I want to do? What do I not want to do? Because when we actually make a physical or conscious decision to put a boundary around certain things, there's more chance that they're going to get embraced rather than just going out with no direction. Because when we go out with no direction, we don't know where we're going. You know, it's like we get lost and we can't be trusted. I can't be trusted. I need to know what I'm doing. Otherwise, it might just not get done. And I don't feel as productive as I should be. And that goes across the board.
And how do you teach other people? Because I think, obviously, when you do go about setting these personal boundaries, it inadvertently will affect other people, especially if they're not on the same journey as you, which is usually family members, especially if they may be slightly older. Me personally, I think a lot of it comes from they get a feeling of rejection. So how do you teach people around you? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Again, this is from personal experiences where I've been talking to people where, like I said, the family members or the friends are taking it personally. They're taking that person setting up personal boundaries personally on them. And like I said, I think from the outside in, it does look like this place of rejection. So how, when you're doing that for yourself, because you can't it's hard to cut off family members. As much as we'd love to say normalize like cutting off family members if they're bad for your mental health. It's your blood, you're always going to be around them, especially if it's parents. And a lot of the time it can be parents. Because I feel like we're a generation of people that are trying to break certain, what they would call generational curses, or you're trying to change things to better off the next generation, better off the next generation. So how do you teach or show your family members, this isn't me rejecting you, this isn't me doing this from a place of hate or not loving you, it's about me? I guess getting them to understand that.
You just done it. Every challenge someone has, it always starts with communication, open communication. If they can't see that, then that's on them. The common thing I often find myself saying is, don't make their shit your shit. You know, do not make their shit your shit, because that is a spiral we don't want to go down, because they're not going to ever be able to please everyone. And when you can actually have an open conversation with love, saying, I need to do me for a minute. This isn't anything else other than that. Can you respect that? If they can't, then you're making their shit your shit, because there's a certain time when you can just have to step back. Otherwise, you're always going to be trying to chase that external validation. And if you're chasing external validation, that's a race you're never going to win, because you're not going to be validated by everyone all the time, ever.
Yeah, it's difficult because, again, I was really looking forward to having this conversation with you because it's a conversation I've been having loads of people. But I guess you're right. There's just some things, there's just nothing you can do about it. And I've got a massive ethos of just love someone where they're at. That's fine. Everyone's on their own journey. I had this conversation with Rona, who was on this week's podcast that just got released. You just got to love someone that they're on their journey. You can witness their journey. You can be there for them when they need it. But it's okay, I guess, to be on different journeys.
Totally.
Yeah. So moving on from that, another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because obviously a lot of your thing is redefining masculinity. Now you spoke about, obviously you're a fighter, you're an MMA fighter. You spoke about the fact that, again, that's an obvious alpha male, what we would deem an alpha male, obvious alpha male thing. And then obviously you've moved into being able to connect with your femininity. I think a lot of guys are, men I should say, I need to stop saying guys. A lot of men are, I guess, fearful of that. So what was your view on masculinity then? And what is your view on masculinity now?
Yeah, I guess there's what it should be and what it actually is. For example, when people say toxic masculinity, I don't think those two words should go together. I call it toxic conditioning.
Okay.
Because we've been conditioned to think that masculinity should be a certain way, you know, because it doesn't exceed anything other than, for example, is it masculine to like fast cars? What, like, that doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Is masculinity an emotional thing? Is it about being stern, not crying? What does it even mean? It is so ambiguous. People can have their own takes on it. But if you ask most people, if you just say, what does a masculine man look like? He'd probably be big. He'd probably be quiet, alpha. He'd probably not want to cry. Do you know what I mean? And what about a man who isn't big, who is sad? Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't want to do the things that society says we should do? Does that make him any less of a man? Masculinity doesn't have to be how a man acts. It doesn't, and it shouldn't, because that's what makes a lot of men feel like less of a man when they're not kind of fitting into this idea of how a man should be. I feel when I want to redefine it, if you're a man and the things you like, that is you, and that is okay. It's ridiculous that men don't gonna just change. Women don't help it either. And I'll tell you why. A female mate of mine said to me not too long ago, yeah, but Mace, man, I just want a real man. I was like, wait, one, you're talking to the wrong person, and two, what the fuck do you mean by that? What do you mean a real man? And she goes, well, just someone that can take care of me. I goes, can't you take care of yourself? What do you mean by take care of you? He goes, you know, support you, this, that, and the other. And when she had thought about it, so I don't really know what I mean. Like, what do you mean by a real man? And we need to be careful about, you're going to have to ask the question again because I know that I'm going off, but we need to be careful about how we speak about this topic. But can you ask the question again?
What was your view on masculinity back, I guess, when you were a typical...
Oh, yes.
Typical alpha, and what you deem, because you said when you were talking about your journey, you still deem yourself as an alpha male now because there's strength in the fact that you found your femininity within your, I guess, your alpha maleness and your masculinity.
Yeah.
There has to be balance.
Well, back then it was just show no fear, show no weakness, show no emotions. Beer, football, party, sex, beer, football, party, sex. That was the real man, that's masculinity. And when you think about that, how immature is that?
It's so surface as well. No depth.
It's almost weak.
Yeah.
You know?
What they're trying to portray is actually the opposite.
Yeah, it's bonkers. And when I talk about being more in touch with my feminine, that allows me to have more openness with how I feel. And when I'm honest about how I feel, then I can find ways to find solutions. if I'm not feeling great. I can be honest with myself rather than just trying to bury it. And if I can share it with someone, even better, because I've been able to vocalize it, maybe get somebody else's thoughts, but it's just not all my shit anymore. You know, and everyone says that, and it's why the male suicide rate is so high, for sure. You know, men just keep things to themselves, and when we keep our shit to ourselves, we're just ruminating. Our thoughts are going round and round, we're not making any progress. And it's, so I'm part of this, I'm head of coaching for a company called Bemeta, and we're going into coaching in construction, because the suicide rates are ridiculous in construction and it's very male dominated.
Yeah.
So we're going in there doing workshops and talking about this sort of stuff, because if men don't start being able to soften and become more open and have positive conversations about mental health, then we're not going to, as a society, as a race, call it what you want, we're not going to make any progress. Good thing is, I feel like the youngsters now are being a bit more aware. They're a bit more mindful and conscious how important it is to start looking at this. And I think organically, the old systematic way of how people used to identify with masculinity is changing. Not fast enough, but I think it's changing.
I feel like just us talking, I feel like this is something that they need to teach in schools. This needs to be like a whole lesson.
Yeah, I've been saying that for ages.
But it's hard to say with men and women now, because obviously we're of a different era now where it's they, but there's still, I guess, what people would deem typical traits with women, men, if you're going by gender. I'm not gonna lie, I probably need to actually get that unlocked before I actually start talking about it. But I do feel like this is the whole lesson, because you need to hit the younger generation. You need to be proactive, not reactive.
Oh, for sure. You just took the words right out of my mouth. It really does. We need to kind of nip it in the bud before it gets into something worse. And it's like the expectation of what it is to be a man or woman, I think it's bullshit. It's person by person. I got some female mates that are absolutely killing it, and they're happy. That's what they want to do. They're smashing it in their careers. They're professional. They're training. They're like, yeah, you're fucking smashing it. And I'll never think to say you're smashing it for a woman. It's just you're a mate and you're smashing it.
But you're getting a lot of women that are struggling with that now. And I think, again, because if you're going back to, what did you call it? Toxic conditioning. If you go back, I'm going to start calling it that because I really like that. If you go back to this toxic conditioning, you've got a lot of women now that are high powered doing these things, and they are struggling to find partners. Because you've got this toxic conditioning, there's a level of threat. And then you've got this whole pandemic now where I find I hear a lot of my male friends complaining about she's an alpha female. One, like it's a negative thing, but two, I read something somewhere where there's a pandemic of women feeling like they have to be like this because they're trying to counteract the toxic conditioning. Whereas if men just did and allowed themselves to be open and did all this, again, you give the woman in your life permission to then actually bring more of her feminine energy forward. And again, I guess it's then about creating balance within both of you. I don't even know why I said this. It's just something that all of a sudden popped into my brain. But I guess it's going back to the toxic conditioning. And I think that's happening on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. And I reckon if men would be able to kind of lose that egoic, toxic conditioning way of being, I think it would allow women to really step into their feminine, still climb that ladder. You know, don't feel like they have to kind of step into that alpha female if it's not what they genuinely want to do. Because I've got mates that have done both. I know mates that have managed to hold on to their feminine ways and still climb, but also I've got mates that have had to kind of turn it on a bit, you know, in work, and when they're out of work, they're different. So I think it's all encompassing. I reckon it all just starts with men just being able to soften, be open, and just be, that's it, soften and be open.
You're right. I don't think it's happening quick enough, but I am also glad it's happening. So I feel like, I don't know if this is where I worry, because I don't know if it's because I obviously put myself around certain people that I do hear these conversations happening. And I worry about the people that I'm not around. Are these conversations happening behind closed doors? Because I'm like, yeah, it's happening loads, but I'm actually not too sure that it is. It's only because, like you said, I've got a certain tribe around me, so those conversations are definitely happening. But those aren't the people that the conversation needs to be happening with. So how do you get it out to the masses?
You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now, having these conversations, this podcast. You know, you're doing it, and it's just more of you.
Just hoping people connect with it, I guess. So moving on from this, not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like we've covered it quite a lot. I saw something on your page about your Miracle Morning, and it's a book that I've read, like the book, The Miracle Morning. I've recommended it to my friend. I want to bring it up because my friend's just reading it now and she's loving it. So I wanted to talk to you about, what does your Miracle Morning look like?
That book's a game changer.
Love that book.
Game changer. To me, get up at 5, breath work, meditate, journal, affirmations, read sometimes. Sometimes I don't get enough time to read, but I try to. Then gym. My non-negotiables are the meditation and the journaling.
Okay.
Like, they're the ones I will stick to even if I'm traveling. You know, even if if I just have to fit it in because I'm about to go and catch a plane or whatever, I'll always do those 2 things. And the journaling is the best way for a brain dump. And I set my intention each day. You know, I say to myself, what do I want from today? How do I want to show up today? And I always say, what am I grateful for today? And sometimes I'm grateful for the sleep I just had. It could be small. Sometimes I'm grateful for my partner. You know, so it's a practice that I just need in my life.
And you spoke about not hitting snooze as well.
Yeah, it's not a thing for me.
And why do you think everyone shouldn't hit snooze?
Because if you hit snooze, you're already, what are you saying to yourself? You're saying to yourself, no, I'm not ready for the day. You're saying to yourself, I can't. You're saying to yourself, I do not have what it takes. I can't even remember hitting snooze.
I'm not a snoozer.
Yeah, it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
Because there's something you said, wait, let me see. I wrote it down because I really liked it. Because when you hit snooze, you're responding to the day and you're not leading it.
Oh, boom, I said that, yeah.
You said that and I loved it.
I was going
to see if you're going to say it yourself. I was like, you know, if he's not going to, I think that's such a wicked thing to say. I need to let everyone know that.
I say that when people look at their phones or check emails. It's like, if that's the first thing you're doing, you're responding, you're on, my phone's ringing, 1 second. Can you hear that?
It's Popular Man, yeah, I can. It's fine.
Yeah. When you hit snooze, when you check your email or social media or whatever it is on your phone, you're already on somebody else's agenda. Someone else's
shit is your shit.
Yeah, you're already taking on whatever. Even if you say, I'm going to look at it now and respond in a bit, that's there in the back of your mind. That's why when you get up, it just needs to be you and your thoughts and your intentions and nothing else. When you're turning your phone on and looking at your phone, that's when you're saying, come on, Dave, give it to me, what you got, I'm ready. You know, otherwise, what's the point?
Absolutely. I'm really excited for people to listen to this episode because I think it's so helpful. And I think this is, even though like you primarily coach men, I think there's so much in this for women, them, for everyone to take from this and to help people around them. So the last question that I wanted to ask you was, what advice can you give our listeners to maximize their wellness?
That's a big one.
Everyone always says that. Because
Yeah.
all of a sudden their brain just goes.
No, but the first thing is I would say stop. Because I work to a framework called SPACE. And it's an acronym. And the S is to stop, slow down, and seek silence, which means breaking your normal patterns of behavior, just allow yourself to be alone with your thoughts. P is for perspective, because there's always another way to view the thing that you're viewing as causing you pain. There's always another way. A is for action, because nothing happens without action. Sometimes we try and look for an easy way, but sometimes it just isn't one. And we need to recognize that. C is for connection, consistency, and commitment. 3 C's. Because if you're not connected to any change that you want, it won't happen. You're not going to be able to be consistent. at all committed. And E is for energy. Because what we're all seeking in life is to be operating on a certain frequency. We might not be able to verbalize it in that way, but that's what you're looking for. You want to feel a certain energy. So check your energy, check how you feel, check what you need to do to get your vibration higher. Because that's what life's all about. It's about what vibe you're operating at day to day.
Love that. I think that was a perfect note to finish on.
Thank you.
On that note, I'm going to let you go and enjoy, because we're filming this on Sunday, I'm going to let you go and enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you, Hannah.
Get your space on. I'm going to absolutely need to write that down. I'm going to need to put that at the beginning of my journal. I think that was a really good one. So I love that. Is there anything that we didn't speak about that you wanted to speak about?
No, we covered it all. Thank you for having me on. I
feel like at some point I'm going to need to drag you back on here for a part 2, because there's too much information that I still feel like I haven't dragged out of you.
Well, look, we can do it. This is the good thing about technology, right? Exactly.
And can you let everyone know where to find you on socials, websites?
Yeah, it's just Insta's the most important thing. I've got some really exciting stuff coming up as well. So it's just at Masons_mindset_, and that's it.
Which will be in the show notes.
Or was it Mindset Mason?
Mason's mind. No, it's Mason's Mindset. Bruno,
I should know this, isn't it? It's Mason's Mindset.
It's also, again, like I said, when someone makes you think about something, you're like, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Mason's Mindset, yeah. Bruno has confirmed. Mason's first _mindset_.
Yeah, but you said it's probably going to be down there somewhere.
It will be in the show notes. People can just click straight away, so that's fine. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.
I will. You too.
Keep doing your amazing work.
And I'll definitely do that. You too.
And we'll keep in touch.
Lovely. Thanks, Anna. Have a good day.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.